This is the Real Change Wilmington Podcast, Episode 9, Clinton County Crime Concerns Unbanned, with our guest today, Jason Stoops.
The purpose is exposure. Again, when this started out, Leah and either Jane or Leah, they were sitting down at the, we like to say, the KFC parking lot. That's a good viewing point. And they were telling me these stories about they were seeing people just broad daylight breaking into the other buildings and just urinating on whatever. And I didn't believe them. Like, no, ain't no way this is going on. Broad daylight, right downtown Wilmington. So I went and started going with them at lunchtime. Well, guess what? It was going on. Then we tell it to other people. They don't believe us. Like, okay.
What's going on, everybody? This is the host of the Real Change Wilmington Podcast, Dustin Pierce, here, like always, with my co-host,
Emily Spencer.
I always got to make her say her name because it's not going to come out of my mouth. She who should not be named from me.
Rude.
So we have a fun episode for you guys today with Jason Stoops. It was definitely not what I was expecting to have happen. My first hearing about Jason Stoops was when he made his announcement in the Wilmington News Journal to run for mayor. And I saw that photo, as most of you probably did, and thought, wow, what is this country bumpkin doing running for mayor? And Emily showed me his Facebook page. I guess he's in a thong or something. And I'm just like, this guy's running for mayor? And then I, heard of the Clinton County Crime Concerns group, and I thought this was going to be just a really intense conversation with a really hateful person, but it was the exact opposite. Jason was a great guy, really funny, down to earth, and has a lot of empathy for issues of homelessness that I wouldn't have thought. So that was surprising for me. Emily, what was surprising or a highlight from today's episode for you?
So I found it really surprising as somebody who did join the Wilmington Crime Concerns group, and I was banned from it, but hopefully
Why were you banned for it?
Well, I shared the Sugar Tree Ministries podcast that we did here, and I guess they didn't like it, but, everybody's entitled to their opinions.
We talked to Jason. Hopefully we're going to be unbanned.
Yeah, unbanned, hence the name.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought, just from what I had seen in that group and what I'd seen people saying about that group and about Jason and his colleagues on the group, that they hated Sugar Tree Ministries, hated Lee Sandlin, wanted to shut it down, burn it down, whatever. And that's not the case at all. It seems that, like you said, Jason's got a lot of empathy for the people in this town and their situations. And he works with Lee and Sugar Tree. And it's not about him hating it. It's about him wanting more reform there.
Yeah, and I was surprised too. I think people will be surprised to hear just how involved he is with different community organizations that are trying to solve the problem, with like the Homeless Coalition. He's actively trying to solve the issue. He's not just some mechanic that has some, redneck opinion of how to cause reform and get these homeless people out of here. He's doing the work, which I was really surprised to see. Okay. So before we bring in Jason Stoops, we're going to give you guys the hot goss in our lives. And
jeez, oh Pete.
Yeah, I've been saying hot goss a lot. I don't know. Oh, because
it comes from Superstore.
Yeah, I recently watched Superstore on Hulu, and they say hot goss a lot. They say it in like the old people say it, and it's not cool to say kind of way. So I think it's hilarious to say.
Well, that means you fit right in, right?
Yeah. So the hot goss, Emily, in your life. I recently got a tattoo. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I got a tattoo this past Saturday on the 18th of February. It's on my left collarbone. It's the number 940. The reason I got it was my grandfather passed away in January, really unexpectedly, and he was like the light of my whole life. Like, I loved him so much. And he built and raced dirt track cars my entire life. And his car number was 940. So it's like my homage to my grandfather. Miss him a lot.
Yeah. And is the style like NASCAR lettering?
I was going to get it NASCAR lettering, and then I saw it and I was like, wow, that's going to look like a prison tattoo. And so I got it to actually match the font of the tattoo on my other collarbone, which says life goes on. So it kind of all goes together.
Yeah. That's cool. It's like you planned that out almost.
I'm sure if he had a grave to roll in, he got cremated, but he'd be like, quit getting tattoos, Emily.
Yeah.
So what's going on at your homestead?
Right. So the ladies are doing well. And by ladies, I mean my chickens. So I have some chickens that are about 1.5 years old now, laying eggs, starting up again because it's getting warmer out, more sun's coming out. And then I recently bought some chickens. They're about 1.5 months old, I believe. So they got their feathers and they're starting to get personalities. One of them is really aggressive, and I'm pretty sure he's a boy. Because I had a Silky last year that was, I thought, really friendly. He'd always come up and like try to see me. But I realized that was like aggressive behavior. Like he was trying to like say, get out of here. I just thought he loved me, but he didn't. He was a boy the whole time. But anyways, other news is that we plan on having a print piece soon. So yeah, we just want to have more ways to get exposure in the community. So we're going to have some kind of printed material out there coming up here soon. Stay on the lookout for that. With that, let's get into the podcast. Sorry,
We're
the most professional people you'll ever meet.
That's
ever.
all right.
We're just kind of jumping into this.
I'm
We're not professional at all.
Literally, I told the newspaper and they asked me where I was running for mayor. I said, "Fuck it, somebody's got to." So we're going to get along just fine.
Okay, good. Our first episode was called Ready or Not, so we're definitely not ready, but we're doing it anyways.
Yeah.
3 different podcast recording locations so far.
Yeah.
Trial and error.
All right, Jason, welcome to the Real Change Wilmington podcast. Thank you for joining us today. Glad you're here.
Thank you.
So we're going to start out by asking who you are. So I don't know if you remember this or not, but so I own a house across from Domino's Pizza. I shouldn't share that much information. But
No, you got eggs.
The eggs. And
Yes.
you were my first egg customer,
Nice.
I think.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you for
No
that.
problem. I've been watching you and seen. So you said you was going to get the blue egg. So
Yeah, my dumb blue eggers haven't laid yet, so but soon. I want the blue eggs too, for sure.
well, they're richer than the brown ones, so they got a little bit different taste.
Okay, I got some dark brown egg layers now too, some Marins, I think they're called.
Okay.
So those should be coming this summer, I guess. But yeah, I didn't realize that until, so I saw your article in the paper, and then you were my first customer for my eggs. Okay. I saw your Jeep and stuff, and it took me like a couple more months to like put it together. Like,
put all the pieces
that was
together.
you! Like, holy crap, that's crazy. So thank you for.
It is a small town.
Yeah,
that proves it right there.
And you have a very fun Jeep.
Yeah, we have a few Jeeps. That's a hobby of ours. I got a newer one. Leah's got one that got hit. Then we got another one that's very mean that we built up. That's broken more than it runs, but it's just kind of a little hobby of ours.
Do you do off-roading then, or?
Oh yes, we destroy the Jeeps.
Where do you go typically?
The closest driving is probably Slade, Kentucky. They got some nice parks down to Daniel Boone.
Okay.
Vinton County, and other than that, we've gone as far as Myrtle Beach. You got to think tow price when you go wheeling. Like how much for a tow bill do I want to pay to get this Jeep home?
So you don't drive it there?
Oh yeah, we drive there. It's just
whether we're
whether we're going to drive it home or not.
You mean if it breaks down or something?
Yeah, because we go to have fun.
Okay.
And Jeeps are repairable, so.
So do you do the duckings too? Do you like duck people?
No, I hate the ducks. If you want to know the truth, I was taking the ducks I put on my ducks, and I was adding little plastic Peters to them and putting them back on other people's Jeeps just so they would leave my Jeep alone. I despise the ducking thing. That's just the biggest waste of money and scam. I don't know. I get, I could bring some and show them to you. I do have little plastic peckers that were going on the Jeeps that were going back out, and I warned everybody, if you put a duck on my Jeep, we'll get a pecker put on it, and we'll go on somebody else's Jeep, and that's on you to live with.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I have my days.
I parked next to you and I was looking at all your bumper stickers. I'm also a bumper sticker fan. We have some different bumper stickers, but
Pure class.
What's your favorite bumper sticker on your car?
Right now it's probably the Fuck AutoZone one.
See, I told you there was one about AutoZone.
Yes, we're describing how the car batteries go to the ocean to recharge their electric eels.
Okay.
So, and I don't suggest you do that, but there for a little while there was a glitch on Google, and if you Googled what to dispose of used car batteries, Google told you to throw them in the ocean to. So that's how that. If you ever see that sticker, that's how that come apart. That was a glitch by Google.
Oh wow.
And they were actually telling people to throw their car batteries in the ocean to charge the electric eels.
That is
Jesus.
weird.
And then degenerates like me just kind of run with it.
Yeah, that's fun. Okay. So you were telling us before we started recording that you are born and raised in Wilmington.
Yes.
Kind of tell us your upbringing, I guess.
I was born in 75. Mom and Dad lived out towards Sabina. Then they moved to a small farm out in 76. We rented the farmhouse. Porter Hybrids rented the fields. They did the farming. So we grew up on a farm. The farm was owned by the Haynes family, which was one of the original families to Clinton County. Actually, I think that house was like second generation, and the very first homestead in Clinton County is over on Gurneville Road, and that was Arthur's parents. They were like the original people to Clinton County. So
you lived out by that's out by drive-in movie theater?
Yes, yes.
How far out past that?
Quarter mile.
Quarter mile. Okay.
When you cross the hill, which is now the bypass,
Yeah.
top of that hill to our house was a quarter mile.
Okay.
And we know that for different reasons. But yeah, it's the first house on the right.
Okay. And then you went to Wilmington High School.
Yes. Graduated in 93 early. Dad had a garage. So when I graduated high school, I started working for Dad. His garage. He retired. So I went to different garages, dealerships, floated around the cities. Ended up come back to Wilmington in 2008, actually when everything crashed. And took on a job out here at Bush. Worked at Bush through my meltdown. Then decided to open up my own shop, and that was 6-7 years ago, 2016, 2017.
When you say your meltdown, what does that mean?
We had a little episode, got in some trouble, caught another felony charge, divorce, and just
life stuff.
Yeah,
That sucks.
yeah. There was a little jail time there. We had like 90-day vacation sponsored by the county, and
Okay.
a little start over. We was homeless for a little bit when we got out of it. So
Okay. So all right. Well, that's going to play probably into the crime.
And again, there was drugs. I got on the pain pills bad. I'm alcoholic. So yeah, I'm drug addict, alcoholic. I'm just
right.
It is what it is. So
Okay.
you get on the pills, and it's a slippery slope.
Yeah. So you said after that you started your own car lot?
Garage, auto repair.
Auto repair.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
That's all right.
So describe like what led you. How did you acquire that? How did they get started?
So it started out initially. Mark was nice enough for the longest time, Mark Bush, to let the technicians do side work in the evenings at the dealership, which was convenient because most technicians, mechanics, they do extra work to make extra money. It is what it is. For whatever reason, it might have been insurance, I don't remember at the time, he had to cut off people being there after hours, which made sense. Well, me and another guy found this little garage over on Nelson that was fairly cheap to rent. Like, well, I'll just rent it to do my side work. I mean, this is great. And then it got to where I was making more money on my side job versus my main job. They were clashing, so I finally got Mark to fire me.
Got him to fire you?
Yes.
Okay.
I wouldn't quit. He wanted me to quit, so he knew I wanted to quit. So yeah.
Is there a story there? Like how?
Well,
did you
no.
find
I'm not going to lie. If my new job would have failed as self-employed,
yeah,
I could go back on unemployment because they fired me.
So, I see. Okay.
Yes. I'm just working the system. I'm not even going.
Oh yeah.
But if I quit, then I have nothing to fall back on. But if he fires me, at least if I wanted to, I could have filed for unemployment.
Sure.
So again.
So people who don't know, your car lot is called Midnight
Auto Repair.
Auto Repair, and it's right across. It's by the fairgrounds. So
around the corner, behind where McDee's Pub used to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually known. Jim Cook's was there forever, so most people know it as Jim's place. But he moved out to Sligo, and the building sat empty. Then we got it.
Where you're in right now?
Yes.
Okay. Are they remodeling that MC's grill, right?
Yes.
What's it going to be? Do you know? Get the inside scoop?
No, I don't. I know what the rent is supposed to be reportedly, but by the appearance, it looks like it might be another Mexican restaurant.
Okay.
And Salvador, is that his name? Owns El Dorados. It's his. He owns it. So.
Oh, Salvador's in Blant?
No. He owns El Dorados across town. He has another Mexican restaurant in Washington Courthouse. He owns several properties here in town, so he's the one doing that. So I don't know exactly if he wants to add another, which I'm okay with. I mean, tacos out the back door. Who could complain?
Sure.
So yeah, I don't. Inside information, no.
Okay. Is that what's called Salvador's?
Yeah, his name, the guy who in Bland. Or do you ever go out to Bland?
I don't like Bland.
So, I don't blame you. But my husband is from Bland, and his family lives out there. And there's in one of their old dairy points, the one out by Kroger on Cherry Street. It's called Salvador's, and he does authentic Mexican food just out of there, and it is really good.
Yeah, I've heard very good things about it. We just haven't. It's going to be a motorcycle trip this summer.
Nice. I've had it for the first time last week, so his name's Salvador, right? So
yeah, the guy that owns
it.
The
same place, but it's super good. So anyways, so your other entrepreneurial journey is you own the art house building across from Tin Cap.
Yes, how that come about, Bill Marine is my landlord on Nelson. He owns that building. So the building that is the art house now was Clinton Auto Parts when I was growing up. This goes back to the early 90s where the General in Denver is. There's a parking lot across the street. Dad had that garage there, so I would walk from the garage down to Clinton Auto Parts to get parts and etc. So I saw the building sold, so I was talking to Bill one day, mentioned the building sold. He goes, yeah, I bought it. That's why it's cool. I'd like to see inside of it. So he just tossed me the keys. So I texted Leah. She's back at the shop. So a little bit. I'm going to go look at something. So I went down, looked at the building, checked it all out. And then when I went back to see Bill, he had a notepad on his desk writing and laid this out to me. He said, "What do you think?" And
This is for the art house building?
yeah, that big building there.
Okay, yeah.
And he had a agreement laid out that I couldn't turn down. So I signed some papers and went back to actually hidden carry out on the way, bought a bottle of champagne, then went back and told Leah that we bought a building. So
Okay.
she was thrilled about that.
Is that sarcasm or?
Yeah, it's very much sarcasm.
Okay.
She was not thrilled about this
I feel like
purchase.
wives aren't really thrilled when you make big financial decisions.
Yeah, on a lunch break, pretty much. So yeah,
So you live there now, right? That's
correct.
So and is it just you up top and then 2 business tenants below?
There are 6 units
Oh, 6, right?
total. So you have the 2 storefronts. The downstairs first floor has 3 units, which are 2 are now combined. Then the upstairs has the apartment that we live in.
Okay, nice, very cool. Yeah, I'm trying to get some property this year. So if you know anyone who's trying to sell something, like, so our business is right across from General Denver. You've probably seen it.
Yes.
But yeah, we just rent there. So we're trying to purchase something, and it seems like there's a lot of vacant buildings in Wilmington, but not a lot of people are trying to sell, which is like, just sell me your building because you're not doing anything with it.
Yeah, and that's the trick. To find out who owns them, then talking to the right person. Usually they're older people and they don't live in the county anymore, so they got to make sure you're not trying to hustle them.
Okay.
Luckily, I knew Bill, so
Uh-huh.
that one it fell into my lap, to be honest.
Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, that's the goal. Do you own any other properties or just that?
No,
Okay,
that was my first adventure into
nice.
real estate, and I didn't know when you buy property downtown. I fair warn you now, you buy politics.
Oh, really?
So-
By politics, huh?
Yeah, you get sucked right up into the.
Just because you're downtown?
I think so, and with everything. When I bought in, 10 Cap was still out of his house, and he was looking to expand.
Yeah.
So 10 Cap wasn't there or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of changes that went on about the same time. So with me being a property owner, I got wrapped up into some stuff.
Oh, okay.
Or involved. I guess I shouldn't say wrapped up. That implies something bad went up. But I was able to get involved on some of the progress that was made.
Okay. I imagine because that area is kind of getting. I mean, 10 Cap is there, so
Yes.
that's a nice building. It sucks that the bar went out of business there.
Yeah, that's only temporary though. I mean, it's for sale. I mean, Mark just passed. That's kind of expected. So
Mhm.
as long as the liquor license stay, and that's just a fresh remodel location, so they can come down in price. I think
Yeah.
somebody will fire it back up.
Yeah. And are they doing anything with the building next to you? I saw it was purchased. I think LT Land purchased that building, but it's just vacant.
He has not yet. So I don't know if he's sitting on it to see what he wants to do, or if he might be waiting to see what the escape sells.
Okay.
Then again, he might be waiting on the election too. So
Okay.
because there is a sugar tree corridor plan that was laid out that has kind of fallen to the wayside. That's going to be picked back up also.
Okay.
So Larry might be waiting to see what's going on with that. There's a lot of variables.
For the bike path or something?
No, this was a corridor, part of the Sugar Tree Entertainment District. They want to build a corridor from starting there at that corner all the way and tie in with the college. Get a little more of a college vibe, make it more pedestrian friendly, have more events in that area.
Yeah. For sure.
They're trying to move the events. It's a little more of a hassle to have the events on South Street, South, over by the General Denver, because that's a truck route. So to close that down takes many steps, whereas if you go over one block,
Yeah.
they can literally just 10-minute notice, throw a sign on the road and close it down without no ifs, ands, or buts. So
Okay.
it's a convenience factor. So they're trying to make that more of a
Right.
Oregon in Dayton, maybe Yellow String vibe, kind of.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Yellow Spring.
Yeah, and what is that, up in Dayton, Oregon District?
I don't go to Dayton much. I go to.
Yeah, they got a nice little area there that's
Okay.
very walking, several bars and different stuff going on, very pedestrian friendly. It's just a cool little vibe.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So let's transition into the Clinton County Crime Concerns Facebook group. So I'm not on Facebook, so I don't follow the group at all. But I've heard of it. I heard of it a couple months ago, I guess. And it's talked about in town, so we're gonna get into it. So tell us who started the group and what's the origin story of the group.
So the origin, I guess, people know that I've had my issues with the homeless and the vagrants, the free range people downtown. So some people do reach out to me. Then they had a market last fall, and Michelle Vaughn introduced Leah and myself to Jane Johns. I said, hey, these people also got some things going on. They're trying to delve into this situation. We had some meetings, and when it all petered out, it ended up being just Jane, Lydia, Leah, and myself, and we, which is fine. And they decide that other people need to see what we're seeing. Nobody's believing what we're seeing. So she said, well, we'll just create a Facebook page and we'll put it out there. We'll control. And we have control. She has control of who goes on there, because they don't want it to be a full down dumpster fire of a page. So they do try to, people complain about the one sidedness, but it is what it is because there are some people out there that argue just for the sake of arguing. It don't matter. You tell them water's wet, they'll say no, it's dry, and just it is what it is. So
Sure.
the comments are throttled, but that's the purpose of it for the merge. So, and they've been working on bringing people back in that are argumentative, just trying to explain to them, we can have discussion, but don't go bashing. They're trying to control that. So it's not as bad as what you hear. It just depends on who you hear it from. So,
Right, and I just hear it because I don't see it on Facebook. So
Yeah.
on Facebook.
so that's what they do. Any crimes, and it focuses more so, which is so does our crime around the Sugar Tree Ministry area and
Okay.
that stuff. So there's a lot of it that is focused on that part of town.
So you had issues with people around your art business,
around
that building on
Mhm.
Sugar Tree, and then so who is Lydia, Lee, and Jane? Who are they?
Lee is my fiance.
Okay.
Jane Johns, I don't know who Jane is exactly. She's been around Wilmington forever. She hangs up the flags, the Cane Spirit flags downtown on Fridays when they
Oh,
have
really?
the ball game. She's
Okay.
responsible for that. Lydia is married to somebody I went to school with, I graduated with. And I believe Lydia herself might originally be from Blanchester, but don't hold me that. So these are, again, there was a group of us that started out. We had a couple at one of the churches. There was probably 50 people. And it's just people don't follow through. People quit.
Sure.
People don't care.
Sure.
And it ended up coming out to us four there for a little bit. So that's just how that come about.
Gotcha. So you guys meeting in person first, and then started the Facebook group,
Yeah, we was in person first. Everything was done in person.
and then do you still do in person stuff?
We like do lunch and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Just as you guys, or is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's other people that's helping us. That's really developed. It was kind of weird how it come about because you start out with a church room full of maybe 50 people,
Mhm.
then you're down to a half dozen.
Yeah.
Then, like I said, I know my people, so I might have 6 or 8 people that's looking at some issues. Leah has her friends, so you got 6 or 8 people over here. So it's almost turned into subgroups. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Jane has her contacts she knows. They share information with her. Then they talk different things. And again, we all don't agree on everything. Jane and Lydia are further right on the political scale than me, so we don't agree on everything.
Okay.
So there's some stuff we just don't talk about because it's just going to argue about it. Religion, for one, we don't get into religion too much because
Hmm.
we get different views on that. So it's just kind of how
Okay.
we kind of focus on who we focus with.
All right. So my next question is, what is the purpose of the Facebook group, and what changes are you trying to seek?
The purpose is exposure. Again, when this started out, Leah and either Jane or Leah, they were sitting down at the, we like to say, the KFC parking lot. That's a good viewing point. And they were telling me these stories, but they were seeing people just broad daylight breaking into the other buildings and just
Mm.
urinating on whatever.
Mm.
And I didn't believe them.
Mm.
Like, no, ain't no way this is going on. Broad daylight, right downtown Wilmington. So I went and started going with them at lunchtimes. Well, guess what? It was going on. Then we tell it to other people. They don't believe us. Like, okay, everybody can see it, so it gets.
Yeah. That's funny. I had some high school students. I was working out of my house one day on Locust Street, and some high school students came up to my property. I was inside, so they didn't see me. Grabbed some stones, and we're gonna like throw it at each other, I guess. I looked outside. I was like, "What are you guys doing?" Like, and they just stood and looked at me like, "What are you gonna do about it, buddy?" And I just pulled my phone out and I started recording them, and they all started scabbing because then they were scared, and then all their confidence went away. And I ended up reporting it to the police, and they followed through with the high school, and they found the kids, whatever, and they got, I think, trespassing put on or something.
Yeah, that's kind of how the recording thing started. We was talking to the chief, and this was one of the early meetings at the church. The chief of police was at one of them, and he said, record it, show it to the officer. If we got a person on video breaking the law, we can take that to the prosecutor, and they have to charge them. There's no getting around it. So that's what we started that. And
Gotcha.
That's still not. There's still. Well, that's a.
Because the kids eventually went downtown and actually threw rocks into a business window.
Ah.
So then they got in more trouble. I don't know if it was your business or not, but it was
No.
someone downtown. These same kids went from my house to downtown.
Knocked the windows out.
And did something bad. I guess the business didn't press charges, but it's a crazy story. But I got on film. So
Yeah. It worked out for real.
yeah. So that's interesting. I'm sorry I'm going on a rant here, but
Just thinking about all the kids in this town throwing rocks at buildings. My neighbor, so where I live on Spring Street, and across the street is a bus stop. And these boys, the house across from me was very bad, and some development property company, they sunk a ton of money into making it beautiful again. It's very nice. And these boys, they come out to the bus stop and they throw rocks at the stop sign and try to hit the house. They try to hit everything. And I told them the same. We have cameras at our house. And I was like, look, I will report you to the high school. I will send them this footage. Quit throwing rocks. Go stand at the bus stop and wait.
Did they?
No. They didn't. So we called the high school.
Yeah, we talked to the mayor recently, and he mentioned that, like, hey, if you have an issue, like, you got to get it on film or we can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So it's not like you have some issues with the follow-through, but we'll get into that later, I guess.
Yeah. That's we tell anybody, and this gets tricky because if you got to call 911, just make the phone call first. Then like, well, I was trying to record. Like, you know what? If you see a law being broke, call first, then record. At least get because they record. A lot of people like to record, and the people leave as they're breaking windows, for example, and then they go to call the police. Like, well, they're already gone. Like, well, see, let's make the phone call, record. I don't know if I haven't tried on the iPhone if you can record while you're on the phone. I don't.
Probably not. So that's the issue.
Yeah. See,
I feel like when you call 911, the camera should just come on automatically or something.
Yeah.
Start recording.
Yeah, you think so. And there's 2 lines to call. You can like for breaking rocks, for example, you can call 382-3833, the
non-emergency
number. And that's 9 out of 10 times. That's what we try to use because if I have noticed there's been auto accidents over by the shop. If I call 911, it goes through the county dispatch and it gets kicked back, and you're right back where you same started. Like 45 seconds later, like, well, that was.
You would have called the right number in the first place.
Yeah, it's a big cycle. So
Sure. So back to the crime group. What changes have you seen since the crime group started?
There's a lot of awareness, and there's a lot of people making moves now that were just sitting behind the scenes. I was actually talking with Denise Stryker. She's the head of the homeless shelter, and she herself was very glad for all the publicity that this has been brought because they're getting phone calls, they're getting people asking what they can do. So it's people becoming aware of the situation, and they're starting to see what they personally can do, or why do we have these issues? Why are we not fixing these issues? So it's in that aspect, it's done exactly what it was meant to do.
Right. So Facebook can tend to become like an echo chamber of just people having the same ideas, just preaching to the choir, I suppose.
Yes.
How have you combated that tendency? I know you mentioned before you're letting some people back in the group.
Well, again, meeting with Jane for one, she knows different people. She just brought up different. She's a different circle of people. For an example, she spoke in front of City Council one Thursday and said something that a lot of us have said repeatedly. The way she worded it, they understood it better, and they were like their eyes open, like, really, we've told you this 100 times, just worded different. But that's coming from her though. For whatever reason, they're like, oh yeah.
Remember what it was? We didn't get to go to City Council last week.
This has been actually a couple months ago, and it's just before the page was even created, just the general issues in town, and they were like dumbfounded that we had these issues. Like,
so how long has the page been live?
A few months, maybe. I'm not the one to answer the best questions on that. When I started the political campaign, I had Leah remove herself. I asked her, let me rephrase that. I asked her if she would remove herself as a moderator, so there was no conflicts. So I'm not the best to answer the questions like that. But Jane, we met with her first time in September, which was the fall market, Blue Goose maybe, at the 10 cap. So it's between now and then, so a few months.
So you mentioned that you talked to Denise at the homeless shelter, and she seemed to like the awareness or something.
Yeah, I haven't heard anybody complain. Like when this started out, I didn't know Michael Snorer, and I didn't know much about Sugar Tree Ministries, and I found out Michael Snorer is also the second ward councilman, is the president of the board of Sugar Tree Ministries. So me being me, well, hell, I'll just reach out to him and see if we can sit down for lunch or whatever. And me and Michael met at Kava House and had some coffee and discussed it. And I told him there's going to be some awareness. He was, oh, yeah, that's great. It's okay. So
we told him what?
There's going to be some awareness, publicity. We've been putting things out there.
About your campaign?
Well, no, about the homeless and what we're seeing in town with the.
This was pre-campaign. Well, this is pre-Facebook group?
Pre-Facebook group.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah,
so
when we all first started meeting, yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, we was just trying to gather up, putting pieces together to see who do we bitch to, I guess. If we got an issue, you got to figure out who's in charge, figure out who to yell at, and that's what we were doing, figuring out who to yell at. And
yeah, so before you just got on Facebook and complained, you actually went to the people that were responsible.
Oh, yeah.
And you had a conversation with them, which is
several conversations. Yeah,
sure.
We've had hours and hours of conversations from the top to the bottom on this before we went to.
Okay.
before we went that route. So we didn't go that route first, if that's what people are thinking. No,
Sure.
we were talking to that chair. They were talking to that wall about the issues, and oh yeah, sounds great. Oh yeah, sounds great. Then not a thing done. Like, all right,
Yeah.
I'll play dumb.
So what is the Facebook group's, I guess, view on or thoughts about Sugar Tree Ministry, Hope House, and the homeless shelter?
See, I can't speak for Jane and Lee as the group. I can only speak
Sure.
as a general. We have disagreements. There's some people in the group that don't think we need none of the places. The general consensus of everybody in the group is that Sugar Tree Ministries brings in more people than it helps. That it's the balance isn't right. And I'm not saying Sugar Tree Ministries doesn't do good things, but this will cycle back to this. There's people being brought in town, and I'm not meaning that physically. I will say drawn to town, because I got to be careful how I word this.
Sure.
Because of what they hear Sugar Tree Ministries can have, then they get here and we don't have the resources they're being promised when they get here.
Okay.
So you got Sugar Tree Ministries, they got one level of people they help. Hope House, they help a different level. The homeless shelter, there's so many.
Right. They're very different organizations.
It is, and the people are so different. That's what we've had to. Again, that's to come back to the wording. We call them homeless, call them vagrants, call them free range, call them strays, and we've really narrowed it down. There's almost like 3 subgroups. You have the mentally handicapped people that are homeless or in that. Then you have the drug addicts, vagrants, petty thieves, I guess, the criminal element of it as a group. Then you have the third group this is the smallest group who are actually truly homeless. I mean, there might be like 2 or 3 of them, the people are actually truly homeless. Most of them have the other issues. So that's
right
where all this shit really intertwines.
Yeah. So you said that you have to be careful on your wording, because it is like the ethos in the community that Trick or Treat brings in these people.
Yes.
But from what we've heard so, and that's what I thought too, because I don't,
Yes.
before I got engaged in the conversations, I just assumed that was true because everyone says it. But it seems like from what we've been able to gather, that Wilmington is like the hub of Clinton County. So people
Right.
don't go to like Sabina for help.
Right.
They migrate to the big city,
Right.
the quote unquote big city of Clinton County.
Yeah, where all the agencies, all the county agencies are based here. And
Right. So they're not really brought in, but they're just drawn in.
correct.
To the city in general, but then also to Sugar Tree, because they all these promises that
Right.
they hear.
Well, and that's what they get directed to, because Sugar Tree is for some reason.
Right.
There is outside counties dropping off people. That's been proven.
How do you, just out of here, how do you prove that such a, because
Well, you can watch it. You can ask them.
Uh-huh.
Brown County's made it. You could have got Stanforth on this. He's talked to other counties, other mayors about them doing it to us.
Okay.
He's threatening to do it to them. This goes way deep. I have a text message saved on my phone from a judge, former judge, however you want to say. I'm be careful. I don't want to pinpoint anybody.
Sure.
We was discussing a couple that got brought in from a Xenia on a U-Haul. Actually, this is the same couple that was, I don't know if you guys seen it, they set up camp last week in front of Denver's Park that morning we had all the rain. Everybody got up at 7 o'clock in the morning to go to work. You have a hobo camp set up right on the Denver Williams entrance. You got 2 people with their dogs, plastic set up, somebody dumped them off right there. And that's these same 2 people that got brought in on a U-Haul out of Greene County, which has been proven in a court.
By who? Like, who brought them in?
See, there's no finger to point there. It's different
Yeah.
people. Sometimes it's just somebody being nice.
Okay.
They want it, we'll take you here. Sometimes it is an actual county agency. Like, you know what, we'll take you to the county line, then you figure your life out. They do punt each other around. We do it, they do it. So there is
Okay.
it does happen. Nobody can deny it happens.
Yeah.
I've talked to people from West Virginia, North Carolina. One guy was from Columbus via Georgia, via Nigeria or Chad, one of them African countries. So he had ended up here because he heard we had stuff.
Okay.
Then he gets here and he's sleeping in the park.
What do you think could combat that?
Which part of it?
The hearing, like the people who come here, I guess getting wrong information because we don't really have the resources per se. Like,
Well, it's part of it probably start with if our court systems was a little more firm on them. Because right now I think some do come here knowing that it's a soft county on petty crime. And again, I'm told that comes from above, like Supreme Court. I don't understand that. It can't get explained to me correctly. I have never seen, and we've Googled, we've looked, we have not seen an outside advertisement saying come to Wilmington for Sugar Tree Ministry. They're great. I mean, that has not been proven. So I do not know how do they hear about this? I mean, far away as West Virginia, we got people that are hearing about to come here. So I don't know. Is there a different network? Is it done through the churches, through forums? Because a lot of these people are very religious, or do they have their own? Hey, I got this person who's help. Hey, I heard about this church over here. I don't know. That's the part we can't figure out. And I guess it's kind of is what it is at that point.
So the question originally was, what is the group's opinion about the different organizations, Sugar Tree, Hope House, and the homeless shelter? And you said everyone has a kind of a different stance a little bit. Gotcha.
Yeah, we kind of agree that Sugar Tree Ministries needs adjustments.
Okay.
They have to be there. I think they're trying to do too much with too little.
Okay.
I think if they was to shed some services that they offer, they could do a lot more with less, if that makes sense.
So we talked to, I never met you before today. Yeah. So we never met Lee before we talked to Lee, but we know that Lee knows you. Mm-hmm. So we asked Lee, like, hey, give us a background on this guy. And he mentioned that you actually have worked with him
several times,
connected with him. Mm-hmm. So you're not like fist up at Lee. You do partner with him.
We both had the same goal, but we both completely ways going about it. But again, I reached out to the people camped out in front of Denver Park last week. Lee was the first person I called. Like, Lee, I got these 2 people. They got these carts. They need to go from here to the homeless shelter. What can we do? And I didn't want to use the transit system for different reasons. And I knew he had vans. He's got people there, and he sent out Dustin and Jason. They sent out their little red van. We got them 2 people across town out of the rain into the homeless shelter.
Yeah. It seems like the homelessness issue is it seems very big in Wilmington. So it seems like the government or the city should be doing stuff like this.
See, and that comes back to the final third of the segment. But,
we won't get too far into your mayor election now, but you can talk a little bit about it. Yeah, sure.
But for Springfield example, mom has her own ideas. Mom's religious, very religious.
Your mom?
Yes. So she wanted to go to Springfield Soup Kitchen, see how it works. She does a food pantry in Sabina, and she helps do one in Lynchburg. So she said she wanted to go to Springfield Soup Kitchen, watch it, and asked Leah if she could go with her. Then I overheard the conversation, like, whoa, you guys are not going to the Springfield Soup Kitchen by yourself. They said, what do you mean? I said, have you been to Springfield? Well, yeah. Like, no, have you been to Springfield where they would put a soup kitchen? Well, no. Like, no. So I'll go with you. So I went with them. And the Springfield Soup Kitchen is a very nice soup kitchen. He's a neat guy. And what is Springfield? 100,000 people roughly, I think.
Okay.
Their soup kitchen feeds 250 to 300 people on average for 100,000 people. Wilmington of 12,000 people feeds 100 to 150 people. So we're feeding half of what they feed for a tenth the population. So that gives you some numbers on.
Now, does that go back to Wilmington is the only place in Clinton County, or the main place? So everyone in the whole county is coming here, as opposed to Springfield's a city, and they're
no.
Or is it different? I'm just asking.
No, because I'm gonna say by size. If you look, Springfield they probably take up the same amount of square miles
as the whole county.
Yeah, and like the bigger cities, they got the little suburbs, and that's almost like Martinville would be a suburb of Wilmington. But again, that's not as easy to get from A to B. So
okay.
And I'm gonna say Springfield probably the same way. They're going to draw from all around also.
Mm-hmm.
Now again, that person might come across 4 other churches or whatever doing free food, but I'm just looking per capita, so the numbers might be skewed.
I have heard that a lot, that percentage-wise, we do have a lot more homeless for our size.
Yeah, and it goes back to the terminology. I've been trying to research this. There's an unsheltered, and there's another word for it. But there's 4 layers of homelessness, and the unsheltered, they literally have no place. And the study was 10% of the average homeless or what they consider unsheltered. Where if you look at Clinton County, we're at 50%. So there's a whole nother. Our numbers are not in relation to what they should be in ratio with the rest of the world. So it's everywhere, but our numbers are very skewed, and goes back to the soup kitchen numbers or unsheltered versus whatever else has.
What do you see? And if this is part of your, I guess we'll wait on that part. So before, I was going to ask you, what do you see as some of the solutions, but we'll save that for while you're running for mayor.
Well, and the solutions, it comes back to housing.
Okay.
There is no housing, affordable housing in Wilmington. I mean, you guys probably seen that if you live around. I mean, what's rent, $1,000? I mean, and we have the land bank coming through town. They do what land banks do. They clean up the nasty little houses that need to go. But you got to think all these little nasty little houses, nasty little campers we're cleaning up around the county. A lot of them have people squatting in them or living in them. So I think these homeless, most of them have been here all along, Bet they've been hiding in this shack over here, hiding in this old mobile home over here. Then you get your land bank coming through town, which is fine, that's great. But there was no follow up. There was a house raided on East Truesdale, had 20 homeless living in it. So yeah, everybody knew this house was going to get raided. It was no secret. People knew that shouldn't have known, like 6 hours in advance. They didn't do shit. They raided the house, nice cold night, throw them 20 people to the street, arrested the 2 they wanted. Now they had plenty of time to have tenting, housing, something set for them people. They go in there and they raid it, and so there's levels that's failed.
So you actually have some compassion for people who are unsheltered, I guess. Then sounds.
Well, yeah, nobody wants to be unsheltered. I mean, that's right. I don't like the son of bitches, but I also don't. I mean, they got a right to have a house. I mean,
yeah. And I speaking of the land bank, like the land bank is selling to developers, and I'm not sure if developers are building affordable housing per se. They're building housing to make money.
So I've been lapsed on I missed a couple meetings here. The land bank sells. They readjust the housing, I guess. Like I know they had 2 properties they were sitting on that are joined over by Doan Street, maybe.
Yeah.
And the condition to buy them from them, the houses had to be what they call age friendly. So they do put restrictions that are favorable. So you couldn't go buy them 2 lots and put your $500,000 house on it. If you bought them lots and put a house on it, they had to be designed for the elderly person.
Okay.
Now then they do take some smaller lots and do combine them to a bigger lot to try to bring up a housing market also.
Sure. So yeah, they're very strategic with who they give properties to.
Well, they have their guidelines, but they will, as long as you meet their criteria. I mean, you show financing and you're a legit person, not just some land slumlord trying to buy something to flip it. Right? As long as you got legit, they It goes in front of the board, and there's like 3 or 4 of them, and they vote on it. As long as you're legit, yeah.
Okay.
So I know some people that have bought from them that are just normal people, just like us.
Yeah.
And I know somebody that was told no on buying a lot, and he thought they were backdooring to the Habitat for Humanity. To come find out, he didn't know you can't put a garage on a buildable lot in Wilmington. There's a coding against that. So he wanted to buy a lot, put a shed on.
Oh.
But it's set up if you have a buildable lot where they can put a house, you have to put a house on it. You can't just put a garage or a barn or whatever. That's just which makes sense because we need houses. So
right. I was going to buy some properties to put my chickens on.
Yeah,
it's like a 10 limit chicken, so I'll just get some property, put 10 here, put 10 over here.
Right on the corner.
Yeah.
You put that out there. The chicken police are going to come for you.
I know.
They're going to know you live at a house across from Domino's, too.
Yeah, it's got to narrow down now.
I might leave this. I mean, people can find me on if they wanted to, so who cares if people know, I guess. So before we get too much into like homelessness and solutions and your mayor campaign, let's just flesh out Sugar Tree Ministries, because it seems like the group on Facebook, from what I understand, really targets Sugar Tree Ministries. And you said you sometimes set up shop across the street at KFC.
We shouldn't say target.
Sure.
The reason they get targeted is because they were kind of the hot spot for, and this comes back to loitering. This might be our main issue with Sugar Tree Ministries, is they allow all the loitering there during the day. And that's even encouraged by the police because they say they know where they are. But, I mean, idle hands are the devil's playground or whatever they say. I mean, you got 15, 20, 30 drug addicts, mentally disabled people. They're not going to sit there and talk about Bible studies. I mean, that conversation is going to go south, and it's going to stay south. Friday, I met a homeless guy. He was actually at the homeless shelter trying to get in to get a shower. He had just left from Sugar Tree Ministries because they had some drama going on. He goes, I don't want to, police have been there twice. He goes, I don't want to be that. I don't need that today. Coming up here and getting a shower, then I'm going to the library and we'll sit and read a book till it's time to go back to the flop house and go to bed. So, I mean, he was intentionally avoiding it because he knew it was going to drag him back into trouble.
Right.
And again, I don't think Lee does that on purpose. They like to have him there. They think that's the best for him. That's just their belief.
Sure.
So that's
right.
We disagree with that. Have them all hang out there. I don't think that's the best thing for them. It serves no purpose.
So when did big thing the group does is what I hear is people sit at KFC and take pictures of people, and then they go to like the crime record or something and like match people's faces with a criminal record. Or...
You will see a theme of the people hanging out there being criminals, and be careful what I say here because I got friends involved. We have an individual we watch, and I've known him prior to Sugar Tree Ministries, and we notice anytime he frequents around Sugar Tree Ministry, it won't be a week or two later, he'll be back in jail. And this has happened 2 or 3 times. That's what we try to say. You got these people trying to get better and get their shit together, but then they hang out down there, and you're hanging around people who's not trying to get their act together. So, as an addict, I can tell you, you lay some pain pills here on the table, we're gonna have issues. I don't even want to see them. I don't want to be near them. So you got somebody that's going through that. Then they got somebody beside them shooting up. They're like, well, maybe just one more time. So it's just, and we're trying to prove that to people. That's just a vicious cycle that needs broken there. You can't have criminals hanging around criminals just doing what they want.
So you've talked about like how it's a vicious cycle as an addict yourself, and how people are drawn to Wilmington because they think we have all these resources. Do you really think that Wilmington could benefit from an inpatient drug and alcohol rehabilitation program, because everything that they offer now is outpatient?
Yes. I think we need, before that was done, I think if I had a choice between that and a mental health board or a mental health facility, I would put that first. That'd be my personal preference. I think that needs to be number one. Then we have enough drug and treatment centers in the town, and that would come up, because unfortunately they do tie together. So, and goes back to the homeless. I think if we could pull the mentally disabled out of that group, that would take a big chunk of it. And again, some of the mentally disabled are on drugs, so that would, a side spin of that would get cleared up. We could use an inpatient program, but I think it needs more for mental patients than the, in my opinion. I think that would more pressing issue than a drug addict. Just to be harsh, but one of them choose to be a drug addict, one of them didn't choose to be mentally disabled. Again, that's going to be an unpopular opinion, but I don't care.
So you think that Sugar Tree just needs some more oversight or some more intentionality, or what's?
Yeah, management maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
And again, you got Lee. He's the director. He's there part-time. Caleb's there a lot, and a couple other fellows. And you're dealing with that clientele. There is you're trying to manage unmanageable people, and that's just not. They're unmanageable. Just for that reason. That's why that's where they're at where they are. So I think some services, if they were trying to do less, if they would focus on their food, maybe focus on their temporary housing they do, and just a little bit less, so they could focus better on that. In my opinion, I think they got too much going on. Anytime you talk to Lee, you can tell his phone's on. He's flustered. He's just got too much, and he's not going to say no. He just takes more and more on, so I think we could move some people. That we have other resources. Most of the other places in town, Hope House, homeless shelter, for example, they almost mirror what Sugar Tree Ministries does. I was amazed when I had to tour that place the other day, but they don't have the loitering issue. You don't see that. I drive by the homeless shelter every day, just like I do Sugar Tree Ministries, and it's night and day what you see. And the same with Hope House to Sugar Tree Ministries. They even share board members, and you don't see the same issues at one or the other.
Right.
So we'll go back to it. I don't know what's going on there that makes their operation different than our other places that offer the same treatment, but
Something that I read in the paper a while back was that people who are homeless don't have anything to do during the day. Like most people, if you have no job and you have no family, like you're going to be bored.
Oh yeah.
So they go to the library,
yes, or
they hang out at Sugar Tree Ministries. Yes. Like what else could they possibly do? Like,
well, they could I don't know, apply for a job. They need treatment. They could be going to treatment.
Sure.
AA meetings are free if they're an alcoholic. There's a lot of stuff they need to find stuff that they could, like Steve the other day, the homeless guy. He was going to the library and read a book. I mean, there you go. I mean,
that's a good point. Sure.
There's stuff they could be doing, because there's no reason. There's a lot of jobs in Wilmington. Okay, a lot of them don't have IDs. Okay, what do I need to get an ID? And there's people that will help them get IDs. So there's stuff they can be doing. They just choose not to. And that's why I think if we could stop the loitering, and maybe if they were bouncing around from location to location, maybe we could grab a few of them out. Recognize this guy, he's over here. Hey, we can help you with this. Then the group kind of moves along. If we keep them moving, get them exposed to more organizations that can help them, we can probably start plucking them out and whittle the group down. Sure. They're just sitting there all day in that with their picnic tables, eating their cold pizza, not doing shit. I mean, that's what you're going to get out of life. You're going to get shit, because that's all day. We got to keep them moving for one, health. I mean, they need to be walking, just sitting around smoking cigarettes and eating cold pizza. I mean, they're at the hospital sick, and that's on our tax dollars.
No, yeah, that's all good stuff.
So as somebody who's been in Wilmington basically their whole life, we've talked to a lot of people, and a lot of people have said stuff like that the generations that have been here forever, they miss the Wilmington of their childhoods or of their youth. And do you feel that way? Like, do you feel like the homelessness has always been an issue and it's just risen significantly?
No, I think it's gotten worse. It's gotten worse nationwide. The systems have changed, We're seeing a little bit more about the you see in West Virginia, they're almost like a welfare family, and that's not the word I want to use. Where generation after generation they've learned to live off disability and SSI, and I think some of that might be even come. So some of these families that are being exposed, they're second, third generation. So maybe that's why more of it's. But there is definitely an increase in it. I mean, it goes back to when I was back in the '90s when I worked for Dad. I'd have to go down pay the perch bill 2 blocks away. He'd give me $1,000, $2,000 cash, go down and pay perch bill. I right now wouldn't send my 18-year-old kid. Actually, I wouldn't send anybody walking a couple blocks downtown with a couple $1,000 cash on them.
Yeah, so it's a lot different than when you were younger.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody at the prosecutor's office the other day. He's been D.C., Chicago, downtown Youngstown. He said downtown Wilmington is the worst he's ever seen, and he said that includes downtown Youngstown, which is the mafia hotbed of the United States. So he said, yeah, this is a ticking time bomb here.
I never felt really unsafe downtown, but I have felt annoyed by people who were like blaring music.
I've had knives pulled on me twice.
Really? Okay.
And I've been in several fistfights down there.
Now, is that because you sit outside Trick or Treat Ministries? Or
this is right on my property in front of this is on my block. I've had 2 knives pulled on me. I've been approached. I had somebody come at me because I usually walk behind my building to check there's a back spot. That person walked around there one day, had one of them come at me. So yeah, it's.
Was it because of who you are, or just because that they were?
A lot of times you got people they're just high on the meth, and then that later they're just off. And I think if you startle them, they come at you.
Sure.
And we've seen this a few times. Some of them are very mentally unstable. Around Christmas time, I talked to a fellow downtown. I asked if he needed anything. Legit, from here to that mirror, do you need anything? Shirt off, out from underneath his blanket, beating his chest, had me pinned back against a corner. And I reached for my pocket. I'll go grab what I had. Yeah, this was just asking a question. This is right downtown, block from the Murphy Theater, Saturday morning.
Yeah, I've been at Kava House a few times and seen people walking down the streets saying crazy things. They're messed up. It's unfortunate. And
not all of them. Well, some of it does come from the meth. People don't know that they use lithium when they make the meth, whatever it is. And the lithium it's lithium. It skews up your brain. So you add the drugs on top of somebody that's already got mental issues, and it just it's a ticking time bomb, as they say, literally.
Yeah. So one of the questions I want to ask you about taking the photos at Trick or Treat Ministries, do you feel like that is in any way like exploitation or invasion of privacy or
expectation of who?
Exploitation
of who? I mean, who are we?
Of the people you're taking photos of, I guess.
Well, they're out there acting a fool on Main Street, so if they don't want to have photos taken of, they shouldn't be acting a fool on Main Street. I mean, if I act a fool on Main Street, I expect there's a video floating around me of talking with a free range individual. So if you want to. Gotcha. If they don't want to be, it's just be like a news camera rolling up.
Yeah.
So and the news camera's not going, hold on, let's not record this person because whatever reason. Don't act a fool on Main Street. Don't act a fool. Mm-hmm. And you won't get called out for it. I get called out for being a dumbass. I don't care. So that seems fair to me.
So is it fair to say you're just trying to hold people accountable to their actions?
Oh, yes. Accountability is our main issue. That's what we're not seeing out of some of these places is accountability.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So I've heard the term float around enablement a lot, specifically with Trick or Treat Ministries. What is your so Lee has his definition of enablement. What is your thoughts on that word? And then where do you see the line being between helping and enabling somebody?
I don't want to say Lee enables. He does help. I don't know if there's a word to. He doesn't discourage. He doesn't. I don't want to say this. I don't know. He doesn't enable.
Okay.
And I think again it goes back to he has too many people there, too much going on. He can't give enough hands-on individual attention to help somebody move along. I don't know. It's I've been in there. I've watched them, so I don't understand. But I don't want to say they enable because I have seen them got on them. But for the most part, the place it runs itself. Maybe that's the best way to describe it. There's nobody.
That was, to be honest, that was my initial criticism of Trick or Treat before. So I am not from Wilmington. I just came here about 2 or 3 years ago, and I was like, "What is this Trick or Treat Ministry about that I hear about?" And I went and volunteered one day, and I didn't see any director. Or
right.
I didn't even meet Lee at the time.
Right.
So my thoughts were is this place just run by the people who are here? What's going on?
And that's my understanding. Most of the volunteers, his workers, they're all recovering addicts or recovering homeless or still homeless because they live in his flop house. So To me, that's still a homeless person. So yeah, I just think it kind of runs itself, and maybe that's part of the issue. I've talked, mom, she wants to do a soup kitchen of some sort, but she wants a little more. She wants to sit down with them, when bring them the food, sit down with them, maybe talk to them, carry a little dialogue. So maybe that's where Lee's lacking. Maybe that's where people think he's enabling because he doesn't do that.
Sure. Yeah, and we just went there last week and talked to him. We don't talk to them. We talked to them twice.
Right.
But so we're not like best buds or anything. But anyways, we talked to them last week, and when we went in there, they were giving out groceries, and Sydney Stryker and some lady named Amber. Sydney Mertland and Amber were in there. And what Lee told us is that he's going to start having people, if you stay at his place, which I don't know, is his place the building across the street, or where's his actual shelter at?
The house across the street
That's the shelter?
Yes.
Okay.
He has a new one that he's waiting on some inspections that he's going to move people over to, but right now they're in that house.
Because he mentioned, so anyways, the homeless shelter was there trying to get people connected with caseworkers, I suppose. Anyone who is going to stay at his place now, he's going to try to mandate that they have a caseworker.
Yes,
so
and that's
some
you can
collaboration.
This is something we've pushed for too, because right as it says now, Lee doesn't or didn't, as it may talk to us. You come in, you don't ask names or nothing, so you can walk in the flop house and you can sleep and you can leave, and same with the food and who gets groceries. There's just so you don't. Again, we clean up groceries all over town that people just take them, they just dump them. So it looks like they are trying to get some organization instead of just throwing this person a cold meal of mac and cheese. Maybe like, what else do you need? I help you get them shit together, I guess. So it sounds like there is some, especially at the homeless shelter. It sounds like there is some movements being made in a positive direction there.
Sure.
Some changes.
Yeah. It seems like talking to you was nothing like I expected it to be, because I feel like from what I've heard and the zeitgeist is this group is anti-sugar tree, all against it, these homeless off the street kind of stuff. That's not really your vibe I'm picking up.
Yeah, I think some people still do want Sugar Tree closed down. Mm-hmm. And that's just not an easy. You can't have an organization like that and just shut them down. I mean, then you got, basically 150 people that rely on for groceries. Now, would they starve to death? No. But, yeah, so it's taken, and some people aren't as educated. They see this from the outside, and they don't see them as people per se, I guess. Mm-hmm. So once you delve into it, it's a little different. And that's what I try to teach people, but we're still.
Do you think your group communicates that well, that nuance, or do you think it creates more hate?
I don't know. I don't even think the group has. Jane has stated her purpose of the group is just to bring awareness. She's kind of on that. She does not care beyond that. I believe that, which is fine. That's what she wants to do. She wants to expose this stuff. So the group is beyond that does not have a purpose, I guess. So beyond that, it'd be individuals are what we want to see. Gotcha. So yeah, Jane and that crime page is just exposure. Is that fair? So there's no side, no.
Sure.
Officially, I guess that's the official answer. I could be wrong. I have to speak for Jane. But
sure.
She ain't here. So
so we posted, again, not on Facebook. Emily posted our podcast about Lee Sandlin on your group just to get exposure. Mm-hmm. My personal initial thought of Sugar Tree was it needs to go. It's bad. So when I delved into the issue, I understood it's more nuanced than that. They're doing stuff different than what I thought they were doing. And so we were just trying, and so what I got from the community was different than what I saw when I started digging into it. So I wanted to get the message out there. So we posted it on the crime group, and it got taken down, and we got banned. So if you could get us back in,
I'll work on that.
Pull some strings. We definitely were not we literally just posted the podcast. But anyways, so hopefully
I'll work on that.
Okay. Transitioning, that was a really long-winded. I hated how I said that. I'm sorry. I was not prepared to say that correctly. So anyways, final point to discuss is you running for mayor. I saw this a few weeks ago. You picked the most flattering photo for the paper, I think, of you in on the beach or something. I was like, who is this? Yes. Who is this guy?
That was right downtown, actually, that photo.
Okay. So yeah, what tell us what got you interested in running for mayor, and what do you plan to do if elected?
Well, this goes back to when I bought the building downtown. When you buy downtown, you buy politics. So being a country boy, when out of the country we have to do something, we just do it. There's nobody watching. You can get right a lot more. But when you're right downtown, things have to be by the book, or at least see what the book says. So you get to talk with different people, and you get different answers. Then we start seeing the homeless and crime issue downtown was very bad, especially right there because that block had been empty. So I'd ask questions, and I'd get all these kickbacks and all these answers like where it goes to city council's issue, it goes to city council. I would talk to the council members. That's not on us. That's not on us. This big circle. Then the big circle come around and found out that Wilmington is a non-charter city versus a charter city. Non-charter city, the mayor has most of the authority, so all the answers and all the trouble I was getting was coming from the mayor's office, and that was where we was getting all our feedback.
Wait, so I'm sorry. You said we are a non-charter city,
Non-charter.
which means the mayor's in
Control.
Gotcha.
Versus, say, Cincinnati per se has a charter city, whereas their council is.
I see.
And again, that took 5 years to prove that, but
Okay.
so that's what, like I said, we had these issues, and we're not the only ones. I say we want to have these issues, and we're getting feedback or kickback on what needs to be done, and everybody's passing the buck of whose fault it is, and go around big circles, and then like, okay, so now we see where.
So you want to enter the ring to be mayors?
It wasn't designed that
Addressing
way
the issues.
initially. We talked about council because that's what everybody suggested for me. I should try for council. We looked into that, and to be honest, it didn't seem like I could do enough damage on council because there'd be 7 of us. So if there's something controversial, I'd be voted against. And again, most of them are career politicians. They were just, yay, I'm a city councilman for Wilmington. Look at me, and they're okay with it. That's the highlight of their life, which is good for them.
When you say we, do you mean like you and Leah, or like you and your friends?
Or is anybody I talk to?
Gotcha.
So we as a community, I guess, because usually everybody I talk to, if I get feedback from somebody that I have to either they got to change my opinion or I got to change their opinion. So usually when I say we, it's just everybody we've talked to that we agree on where we're at for the most part.
Yeah. I actually thought about going into politics too, but I'm like, I don't.
Well,
As an entrepreneur, it's not really my vibe.
Well, so
so.
that kicks back, and I think that's where we kind of got tricked back to the church meetings. Pat Haley was there, and I think he was trying to use, and I'll put this on the record, I don't care, he was trying to use our group as a springboard to launch his political campaign, but not tell anybody there. Because then we got wind that he was going to run. Like, okay, so we got Pat running, I don't agree with. And we got John running again for different reasons. So I reached out to the president, I guess, whoever's in charge of the Clinton County Democrat Party. So you guys run anybody? No, not this time. Okay, so we got choice of these 2 guys, or okay, $80 I'm on the ballot.
Okay.
That's what it cost.
Okay.
And you're running as Republican?
Independent.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so John and Pat have to go against each other in the primary in May.
And then it'll be...
Then whoever wins that goes against me.
Right. So
top dog over here.
I guess I thought you were all running in the primaries as Republicans, but okay.
No, I'm an independent.
Gotcha. So how are you going to address the homelessness issue if elected?
Well, making pretty good headway so far just by being on the ballot. I've finally gotten on 2 or 3 of the committees with the Homeless Coalition. I'm seeing what pieces are where and helping people put pieces together. We've been pushing hard to try to get a harm reduction program started in Clinton County. That's something that I think would help a bunch.
What is that?
The nasty part of it is a needle exchange, but there's more to it than that. They come in, they set up, it's nurses, they discuss wound care with the addicts. They do a needle exchange 1-for-1 for the most part. They talk to them, and they have a very high success rate getting people into recovery going that route. They do HIV testing, Hep C testing to make sure you don't have any disease outbreaks. Right now, Clinton County has no HIV testing. Clinton County is ranked top 100 in risk of HIV outbreaks in the United States. Top 100 in the United States, but we don't test for HIV.
And what does the needle exchange do exactly?
A drug addict, for example, a heroin addict would go in. He's got 5 dirty needles.
Mm-hmm.
He'd give him his 5. They give him 5 clean ones. They look at his wounds, see if he needs. They discuss to him what he's doing, which helps keep him out of the hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
They befriend them more so they kind of like, you ready. They can tell when he's ready for treatment. They soft encourage into treatment.
Okay.
And like I say, then they keep an eye out for the other diseases also.
And that's something that is happening or going to happen? Or?
We are trying to get it happening. A lot of people are trying to get it happening. The Board of Health is pushing back against that currently.
Really?
Which we do not know why. It goes back to another theory. Clinton and Warren County share a mental health levy. The person we talked to sets up all the counties around us. He said the only people I'm getting feedback from, kickback, not wanting this, is Clinton and Warren County. Brown County set one up. I think Fayette County has, Greene County has it. All the neighboring counties have it.
But Warren doesn't want that either?
No.
Gotcha.
Again, call them out. We have a Clinton Warren tax levy for mental health, but all that money seems to be funneled towards Warren County. They do not have an office here in Clinton County, yet we pay their. And anytime they implement a new program, this was told to me off the record, they call it a trial program, so they don't have to do two of them. They just run in Warren County because it's a trial program.
Yeah.
So they go call them out. So call whoever in charge of mental health board, and say, hey, what the fuck?
Right.
So yeah, put them on blast.
Getting some of that money back.
Yeah, because they're shitting on us, and as you can see, that's what we got downtown, and that's why I told Lee, you say we're getting dumped on. You're the heart of it, so you're going to catch the blunt. To cycle back to that, see, all the churches dump on them, everybody dumps on us, we dump on them. So that's why Sugar Tree Ministry is the main focus of everybody, because that's where everything. Yeah. That's the bottom of the barrel for Wilmington.
Sure.
Got to start there.
And then you mentioned, I think on the podcast, housing is an issue.
Yes.
Is that something that you can address as mayor or outside of being a mayor?
I think so. Either way, I know there was a discussion today on the committee meeting we had about starting a cottage-style home, which is not a ordinance. It'd be an entry-level housing for a single mom or whatever, somebody that don't have the best credit. So a small, affordable house, almost rent-to-own style. They're trying to figure out the logistics of that because you're dealing with home ownership. But they want to do it on a rent-to-own style. But there might have to be some zoning changes in Wilmington to allow smaller housing, which would go back to the mayor could lean on council to say, hey, what can we, if that office supported something like that, you'd have a better chance of getting something done.
Is that a good idea? Like, so would that smaller house, tiny home or whatever, would that be on a just regular plot of land?
That's the issue. That probably not. That defeats the purpose of it. You'd probably have 2 or 3 on a smaller plot.
Right. Okay.
And again, it has to look nice.
Sure.
So you have to figure it out. And again, you want it to be comfortable because again, it is their home and they are paying for it. So they may live there 10, 20, 30 years.
Okay.
So you don't want it to look like a campground. I mean, you want it to look nice. So that's the kind of stuff that's trying to be figured out and what can be done, where can it be done.
Because that was one of my concerns when I heard about this is that why would you put a small house on a regular plot of land? Because you're not really solving the issue then. You're if you have a plot of land, like build a lot of houses on it, so like to help get people a house. But you're saying it's going to be more like an apartment, but individual homes.
Correct. Okay. Yeah, cottage style, probably the best. We're a small cottage home. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Has this been done somewhere else that people can look into and see how it's the effectiveness of it?
Different programs. So it's probably got to be a more. That's why I say everybody's got their own program. Mm-hmm. There's a program a couple counties over where he has tents set up, and it's a tent city, but you pay to live there, and they have rules. They're nice little like cabin-style tents, but the money you pay for rent to live there goes in an account that is yours. So you stay there for, I think they either have 1 year or 2 years, how long you're allowed to live there. They save your money up for you, then they help you move on. It's just a temporary. So even though you're paying rent, your rent goes to yourself to help you move on.
Yeah.
So videos I've seen of it is very clean. They had all their nice little cabin style tents set up. So yeah, they have rules and accountability. Let's go back to that. They have not just a bunch of people in tents, just
they have like a mentor. Not you don't just get a house. You're getting like mentor to keep your life back together.
Yes. Getting back to caseworker, somebody to help you and what you need. Hey, I need my ID. Well, let's walk over here and get your ID. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times these people have no idea where they need to go, or what to do, or who to even talk to.
Do you see any other pushback in the communities that kind of idea, or do you foresee any pushback to that kind of idea?
Yeah, on that, yes. Anytime, that's why I'm trying to say cottage style instead of tiny homes. Anytime I mention tiny homes to somebody, they assume you're going to put a tiny house on their plot of land and just grab a hobo off the street and give it to them. Like, no, that's
which is what I thought too. So
thank you. They're like, no, that's what. That's why we got to start calling these cottage style homes.
I think so. Yeah.
We got to change the word. We're not.
Yeah.
So if we can explain what we're doing, we're not just giving somebody a free home. We're just you already have these people here, and you're dealing with greed. That's just a whole other issue in itself. And Wilmington has seen a clientele itself change. We got Intel moving in up there. We got the battery plant moving in. So we are going to see a higher class of people coming in. I've seen Jaguars. I've seen Bentleys in town. I mean, so there is. Tesla. There's more money coming. There's more money in town, so the rent bracket unfortunately is going to go up. So
yeah, it is. What other ways? So housing, trying to get more like services, the needle exchange. What other ways do you see that could help homelessness?
Well, I don't know. The transit, I think we could be a little more out. I think we're wasting a little bit money on our transit system. We want to look at it and see if we maybe convert it into maybe part of it into an RTA style where they run a solid loop. And also, our transit's lacking in the evenings for basically for the drunk people and the night workers.
Cape May actually hosted the transit this morning as their speaker for it's their first thing they've done in 4 years for the elderly, and I went up there just to see what was going on, and they did mention just very briefly at the end that they had thought about something like that, and they have to bring that up with ODOT.
Yeah, they have the ODOT grant, which makes anything we do with our transit very tricky because they pay 80% of the bills for the most part. So, yeah, it's a whole nother.
It does seem like it's definitely a talking point in town, transportation being an issue. And it just seems like it doesn't make sense for another company to come in and like provide transit. We already have the trucks here. We could just like change some things. Like you said, put some on a loop, you know.
Well, go back to that. This goes back to the mayor's office again, and that I have a lot of customers come in. They break down. They work nights, so they work out. They have no transportation outside the cab hours. But wanting to have a private cab company here, they have like 14 pages of ordinances for you to have a private cab here. I mean, the guidelines. They've pretty much taken the guidelines that ODOT put on Wilmington, and Wilmington in turn put them on the private individual if you want to operate a cab here.
Is that why there's not Uber or Lyft here as well?
Yes.
Really?
So it is legal, but you have to have a handicap accessible van. Oh yeah, we got a whole chapter in our ordinances of why.
So now we need to change then.
Yes, and for reference, I checked Xenia's to see what they had. They got like 7 rules, and one of them 7 rules you must have a dome light. So that tells you how their restrictions are on private cab company.
The less.
Yeah,
less
very. And Hillsborough has nothing.
Okay.
Because I checked until I'm right by 10 cap there. Like, dude, I could set up a cab Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, haul these drunks home, $20, $30 pop. I just retire. Be like, oh, nope, that's illegal. Let's do this, this, and this.
That's interesting.
On one of the other, like anything about this area groups on New Year's, they were talking about what is everybody going to do? Like some of the college kids were on this post and they were like, we want to go to 10 cap and drink, but it's late and we don't feel comfortable walking inebriated in a town we don't know. What do we do? And people were offering it up themselves. They were like, look, I won't even charge anything. You need a ride home.
Yep.
Call me. Text me on this messenger app. I'll be up all night because there is nothing here.
Yeah, we definitely need some after hours. Like I said, we got all of our hotels on the other side of town with the traveling doctors and everything. And then we got trying to build an entertainment district downtown here. We need something in the evenings and after hours to haul the drunks around, basically. So
that's something else that they discussed at this seminar or speaker this morning, was she said that they have an individual that works at Amazon and they take him to Amazon, but by the time Amazon lets out at 12:30, 1 o'clock, the cab's closed and he walks from Amazon all the way across town to get home.
I've never heard, so I've heard everyone say that transit is an issue, but I never heard it's because of the rules that are in place in the city. So
that was a very hard one to find out. That actually took me about 5 years also because I was told, oh, you're allowed to do a cab, but why don't nobody? Well, then I was researching. I'm an asshole. I was doing through the ordinance of something else, and I stumbled across the taxi one. Like, oh, look at all this. And I get another friend, we got to talking. He goes, oh, yeah, that's the same guidelines ODOT put on Wilmington.
So someone could just go to the code ordinance website and find these.
Yeah, I think it's chapter. Shit, I could have brought your printout. Yeah, if you go to the city Wilmington website,
just search for taxi, I'm sure.
They have an ordinance link towards the bottom. It'll take you to the outside page.
Yeah.
It has all of our ordinances. You have a search bar at the top. Just type in taxi. That'll bring up, you can type vagrant, anything you want to see if we got an ordinance on.
Right. I had to do that when I had my chickens, make sure I could legally have
Yes.
chickens.
Yes.
So is there anything else besides the homelessness issue that will be part of your mayor campaign? Obviously, there's other issues, so.
Well, no, I realize the stuff I want to do is going to take some money, and have no intention at all of even looking at raising taxes. So I think we're going to have to squeeze some of the other budgets, some of the other departments, and see if there's any money wasted or anything they can do without, then they're going to have to do with that. Because I know there is going to be some money shifted. It is what it is. I mean, there's no denying it. Because apparently there's money lacking to solve this issue in order to be solved, or else they don't want to solve it. So I don't know which one it is. So if it's the money issue, then we'll have to squeeze the other departments for their money. And
it seems like from going to a few council meetings and talking to people that a lot of things in town get done with outside grant money. So not necessarily our tax money, but like, for instance, the road situations that find these outside grants.
Yeah. Well, and then again, that brings an issue on itself. Like for the transit, we have to follow the outside grants guidelines. Roundback, everybody complains about roundback, but they had to lay Rawback out that way because ODOT paid for it, so we had to follow ODOT's guidelines. So, in my opinion, if you can avoid using somebody else's money and their rules, if we have to use our own money and rules that fit our town, then that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
Because instead of a generic set of rules, and we have to bend to fit them, like, well, this is
right.
I mean, ask anybody what they think about Rawback, you're probably going to get all kinds of bad answers on that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, for sure. All right. Anything else that you want to share in the podcast about anything?
No, everybody's read the article. They know my history for the most part. If they want to get hold of me, they know where the shop is. I'm downtown. Mm-hmm. Phone number's on the building, so they can text it or whatever.
Yeah,
so.
We just called you and asked if you want to go on a podcast, so you're easy to get a hold of.
Yeah. So actually, I'm fair to answer any questions. So I got my views, and I'll say them, and if you agree with them or not, that is what it is.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being on the podcast. Appreciate your time.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Well, that does it for our podcast today, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you haven't heard yet, our app is live. So if you prefer to have a app on your phone to hear our latest podcast episodes or even see news, or starting to release more news now, you can definitely download our app, Real Change Wilmington, on the Apple App Store and the Google Android App Store as well. Anything else, Emily?
I mean, you can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. You can also, if you want to get a hold of us, you can message us on Facebook and on Instagram. And if you have any ideas, comments, or concerns, or anything you want us to discuss, feel free to reach out to us again on Facebook or Instagram, or you can email us at info@realchangewilmington.com.
And to that point, so this podcast really came about because people said after our Lee Sandlin episode that we want to hear the other side of the story. So we took that feedback into consideration and reached out to Jason to have this episode. So we do take feedback. Definitely send it in to us. So with that, I'm Dustin Pierce.
And I'm Emily Spencer.
Keep it real, Wilmington.